Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zerl. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. Visit us at ihatecritics.net, everyone's a critic podcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. Like our show, comment on the episodes, watch the trailers, read Sean's reviews, all the other interaction that goes on in social media. On Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Alexa, Stitcher, all your podcatchers. Subscribe to the show, rate and review the show. We'll read your reviews on the air. And then Patreon. ihatecritics.net/Patreon is the best way to help support the podcast. There's also a PayPal link there, as well as our podcast merch. That's all the normal intro stuff, so let's move on to the beginning of the show.
All right.
Should we start with the other trailers and then call them, or?
What other trailers are there?
We got Bombshell.
Okay.
Marriage Story.
I missed that one.
Scarlett Johansson, Adam Driver. Motherless Brooklyn.
Yeah, I missed that
Edward
one.
Norton trying to win an Oscar. El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie.
Yeah, I watched that.
And then, obviously, the other one.
The other one.
Yeah, I mean, Marriage Story, looks good. Scarlett Johansson, Adam Driver.
I watched a different Adam Driver trailer this week.
What was that?
I watched I think it was it The Project? No. The program. Something about the Dianne Feinstein. And he's playing Dianne Feinstein. He's playing the guy who's looking into the torture. And quite a powerful trailer. Adam Driver's killing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, this Motherless or Marriage Story looks kind of like a Kramer versus Kramer type movie. Maybe even more. I think it's not so much the courtroom thing. I don't know. It looks like it shows the whole trailer as them being married and her talking about how much she loves him, and then at the very end of the trailer, they're in court. So it's like it's probably a divorce thing. But you got those two are really good actors, so I'm at least interested. Anything Adam Driver does really is going to get my attention, even if it's bad.
Yeah, the dead don't die.
Yeah. And Motherless Brooklyn was Edward Norton directing himself. He's got
he's playing two roles in this, right?
I only noticed one, but he's got a Tourette's or something like that, and it's very much like I want to win an Oscar, but then I don't know. It almost looks like he's trying too hard. Bruce Willis is in it. So, I mean, who knows? It looks like maybe a passion project that either went off the rails or is amazing. We'll find out, I guess, if we ever see it. And then Bombshell. What'd you think of that one?
Did you recognize Charlize Theron?
Took me a second.
Yeah, that's quite a makeup job. That is pretty incredible, and it's one of the things that some folks on our Facebook page pointed out. Is like that is the amazing makeup on her, especially. I mean, you can recognize Nicole Kidman, you can recognize Margot Robbie, but Charlize Theron, you're like, is that actually her? Is she is the woman she's playing actually?
Did they get Megyn Kelly to come on and
make that Megyn Kelly to play herself?
Yeah, and I mean Margot Robbie is a fictional character from what I understand, but Nicole Kidman's. I mean, she looks different, but still like Nicole Kidman. I don't know. I'm curious if nothing else. I don't know much about that story, but
there's a lot about that right now. You know, right now I think is it Showtime that's doing a series on Roger Ailes with Russell Crowe.
I think so.
Sounds about right. I've not seen anything because I don't have Showtime, but there's a lot of people doing stuff about this.
Yeah, so if nothing else, you got three great actresses, and I'm looking forward to that. Then El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. I know you're one of the few non-Breaking Bad Bad fans I know.
I think it was season 2. I walked away from Breaking Bad because the season finale was too illogical for me. So I just screw this show.
You had told me all that before I even watched it, and then I watched it. I'm like, I don't see what he sees.
How did they manage to get a plane to go over the exact spot they needed to go over? It's stupid.
It's not that hard to get a plane to go over. I mean, honest to God, I sit in my friend's backyard, Corey up in Galesburg, our Patreon supporter. He has this app that shows him, he goes, well, that plane's going here.
Right, but you want the exact plane you want in that exact moment to go over the exact house it has to go. It's just the biggest coincidence on the planet.
But it would always go over the same. They go the same routes every time.
But this particular plane had to be at this point at this exact time with no never mind. It's stupid. I thought it was dumb.
You gonna watch the movie? I think it's a Netflix movie, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I mean, Aaron Paul has not really impressed me all that much in anything that he's done. This trailer didn't do really much for me either.
Yeah. All right. I don't really want to talk about Star Wars, so let me call someone else.
What are you doing?
Better at it.
Wait a minute. What's going on here? I'm kidding. I know
Good
exactly
evening,
what's
sir.
happening.
Hey, what's up? We're in the middle of the episode. We didn't even do it off air, so we're on air with the
Good
ring
evening,
and everything. How are you?
Hey, Josh.
I hear.
What do you hear?
You know what?
Huh?
I was talking like it was speaker. I'm looking at it like it's 18th century technology. Okay, I'm an idiot.
How you
Hello,
doing?
Doc. How you doing?
Hey, man.
So there's a couple things that happened this week we thought we'd get your input on. First and foremost is the Star Wars teaser trailer. I haven't watched it yet, but what did you think?
Do you want me to answer first, or
Yeah,
Sean?
please.
Would you like to go?
No,
ahead?
go right ahead, Josh.
Okay. I have analyzed this a lot of different ways, and I could just talk for an hour, and I won't. What I would say instead, of course, is my initial reaction is extraordinarily positive, and so is my dog's. My dog was very excited about it, too. He watched it with me at least twice. I would say that of all of the expectations that I could have had for a trailer, number one, seeing anything at this point before a full trailer is just bonus for me. I do have a couple of problems with what they've done marketing-wise that a lot of other nerds just like me have, but a very overwhelmingly positive reaction to this.
Are you surprised they haven't done a full trailer yet?
No, and only because the last two main saga release films have had pre-ticket sales on like October 19th or right about that time. And that's when they release the full trailer with the opportunity to buy tickets. And they usually do it like in a Monday night football game, in fact, so that, ABC, ESPN, Disney can all get their cash at the same time. They know they have a lot of eyes. So synergy is what they call it in company terms.
What are they going to do? I mean, the fans didn't like the last one, The Last Jedi. I mean, obviously, I don't know what's going on. I just saw a bunch of I did watch the trailer. I'm just pretending like I didn't. But they showed all the old stuff. Are the fans going to like this one? I mean, are they just... I don't understand. I don't know.
I got to be honest with you. As soon as I watched it, I said to myself that if what I'm getting from this trailer does happen, it's what most fans have been asking for 30 years. The type of things that it provokes, thought-wise, we've been reading about since the early 90s. So I think that if fans will give it a chance, it'll probably fill all their wildest dreams. I mean, you'll have sticky seats everywhere. Dudes like in their 40s, audibly groaning at a movie theater screen because finally all of their nerd dreams came true.
What specifically are you talking about?
Okay, there are things in this trailer that evoke some of the things that the novels talked about way, way back when, from cloning to dark side versions of characters, to, first of all, the Emperor's returning. We know that. We don't know in which form, but in the novels that happens. There's a clone of Luke Skywalker. There's a clone of an old Jedi Master, for example. They try and revive a whole clone army. So, yeah, it already is going in that direction. And in this case, we see a very interesting image at the end that can indicate only two things: that some character that's been angelic for 2 movies is all of a sudden a bad person, or B, there is another version of her out there. And that would be wonderful. If it's not a clone, than the theory that I've had when they announced these movies, that a certain storyline in the animated show, The Clone Wars, was gonna happen on screen is actually happening. I may have talked to you guys about that too, how there's a trilogy of episodes called the Mortis Trilogy. And it came out, I think, in 2014. And it talked about this kind of an allegory to the Holy Trinity, where there's a Father, a Son, and the Holy Spirit in Christianity. In this case, there's a father and a sister and brother, twins of the Force. Well, obviously, does that not speak to Rey and Kylo Ren already? They've had this connection that they don't quite understand, and she magically has Force abilities, just by touching a lightsaber. All these things are right here in front of us, and Luke Skywalker could very much be the father that I'm talking about. Anakin could be the one I'm talking about. He's always been called the chosen one after all. So this all lines up for me, and I'm actually I'm withholding a lot of enthusiasm that I have. Even though I'm talking a mile a minute at you guys about Star Wars, I could still go much faster because I'm definitely having a nerdgasm. I mean, I've got Kleenex all around me.
Bob, wake up.
I'm just watching the Clone Wars trilogy on my phone. I couldn't wait.
Yeah. Bob's like, Star Wars, it's a place where I can go to escape, right? If nothing else. No, there's Catholicism right back at you. Just another Holy Trinity, God damn it.
Well, in fairness, I mean, my favorite Star Wars is The Last Jedi. What's happening in this movie you think is organic? They're not trying to correct anything that pissed the fans off?
Well, of the things that happened in The Last Jedi that people are upset about, it's what? Luke dying, right, and this weird new Force ability that has never been shown before. I mean, Luke wasn't quite what everyone was hoping he would be, I suppose. So that's the kind of thing that pissed them off. It just didn't fulfill their expectations of who Luke was and what should happen with the Force. I think that you can't argue that the story is bad. You can't argue that the dialogue is poor per se, or that they didn't try new things. You could argue that it just messed with people's wants and desires for it. If they're going to retcon anything, I think that would be silly, because nothing that they did in The Last Jedi could affect a really great story, which is where I think they're going in this one.
Interesting.
Josh, before we let you go, tell us about your D23 reactions.
Boy, that was a hell of a Marvel panel. I would say announcing Black Panther 2 is an excellent move, giving it its own platform, as opposed to being a part of announcements at Comic-Con. I like that. It's still about 2.5 years off, which stinks, but at the same time, they're making it a point to let people know that it is coming, because its absence in their lineup was a pretty curious omission. I also really liked the Black Widow stuff that I saw. The movie looks interesting and doesn't look cheap. It looks like, something that people give a crap about, which is what I was hoping for. And David Harbour's character being revealed is kind of exciting. I've known who the Red Guardian was for a while, and I like David Harbour. So, but didn't he play another Red Guardian last year, and that movie really sucked? Am I right?
This year, actually, Hellboy. Yeah, that was earlier this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, worst movie of the year, but we'll get to that later.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Second worst movie of the year, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I believe you. But the other stuff that they talked about with Marvel, you could go with the Eternals announcements and having everyone on stage. They cast Game of Thrones actor, which I know Sean always loves very much. But with Kit Harington as the Black Knight, it's kind of an interesting character, actually. Him playing that, and then Richard Madden from Game of Thrones is also one of the Eternals. you should really be in love with that movie already, Sean.
Oh, yeah, great. I thought that was going to be a Disney TV show.
Oh, no, Eternals is actually going to be a movie. It's directed by Kathy Yao or something like that. I can't remember what her last name is, but it's Kathy something. Or Kate Zhao, that's her name. Kathy whatever is directing the Black Widow movie. Anyways, the exciting part about that is the diversity of that cast is really interesting. You've got a child in there, and Kumail Nanjiani, Angelina Jolie is a part of it. From Crazy Rich Asians, the lead actress is playing one of the main characters named Cersei. So there's quite a bit of diversity in that cast. And I really dig that there's this whole Marvel movie that assholes are going to have to go see that has a lot of people of color. I mean, they're already pissed about Black Panther, so they go and announce the Eternals with a multi-ethnic cast and Black Panther, and they talk about Black Widow. So
and
all of the incels in their basements were just squirming.
And multiple female directors, too.
That is correct. And that's just so awesome to see. I would like to see it continue, and unfortunately, Marvel didn't announce that there was an agreement with Spider-Man with Sony. I'm sure that you guys have already hit at that.
I was going to actually ask about that.
You'll be getting to it.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that are that it's obviously both sides have a problem, and I don't think that the negotiations are over at all. I think that it's posturing probably by Sony, and if Disney made a wild demand, then that's on them too. They both have a symbiotic relationship with this character. I'm hoping that Sony realizes that it's best for the fans that Spider-Man stays in the MCU continuity. Not necessarily so that he can just be part of another Avengers movie, but more that fans have themselves invested in this character and his relationship to other people. So I hope that though, Sony
Josh,
breaks. Go ahead.
I don't see Sony breaking. I think Venom more than anything actually empowered them, and the idea that they can take Spider-Man back and then perhaps down the road throw him in a movie with Venom. I think that is where Sony's head is at, and they don't really care about what the fans want in the end, because they know regardless of what they do, people are coming back to Spidey, and they already demonstrated whether you like Venom or not. People went to see it. It made nearly $1 billion, and if they throw him in there with Spider-Man, I mean, people are going to turn out. So Sony's got the fans by the balls, whether we like it or not.
I think you're right on that. I just didn't want to go full balls out. I hate Sony mode. I mean, I hate them for most things that they've perpetrated upon us in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
But I'm trying really hard to keep an open mind, and I just, more than usual, instead of being pessimistic, I just hope that they come to an agreement because it's what I want. So.
Well, thank you so much for hopping on for
thanks,
our beginning part of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you're aware, you guys could have had me for 2 hours talking about this nonstop. So you've done a wonderful job in cutting my nuts off where they should have been cut off.
Well, Sean. Well, no. Do you want to talk about Angel Has Fallen? Or do you want to talk about this for another hour?
Please, God, no.
Actually, yeah, Josh, go on.
As I understand it, I might as well just take a shit over the phone and tell you about it.
Just quickly, have you ordered Disney Plus yet, or are you going to? Because I know...
No, but you know that I will.
Yeah,
that Mandalorian footage is glorious, and that was the most fun I've had watching a trailer in a really long time. So, thank you, Jon Favreau. I'm currently licking pictures of you.
Hang up the phone.
Yep. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. Love you both.
See you, Josh.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Jon Favreau, send that restraining order to Josh Adams at...
He could just be watching Chef. It's the worst movie to watch on a diet.
True.
Angel Has Fallen.
Angel Has Fallen is so far the worst movie of 2019. I know, big surprise.
Too easy, though.
I hated the Gerald Butler movie. I know. And I call him Gerald because I just keep forgetting what his name is. I want to try and forget what his name is because he's so bad. At the very least, this is the best of this trilogy of movies. That's
really?
An extraordinarily low bar because the other two are truly utter flaming garbage. But this one, at least, is a slightly smaller fire, maybe, I guess. At least maybe it stinks just a little bit less. I don't know. The overpowering stench of this movie is still the worst thing I've seen at a movie theater in 2019. The idea here is that he is the angel. He is the guardian angel of the president, and he has fallen because a shady group that you're going to know within the first 5 minutes. If you've ever seen a movie in your life, you'll know who the bad guys are. Has set him up to basically be blamed when the president is attacked by drones in an attempt on his life. The president survives the attempt on his life, but he goes into a coma because Morgan Freeman, as much as he wants to pick up this paycheck, doesn't really actually want to do anything in this piece of shit movie. So he wants to just lay in a bed asleep for most of it.
Smart man.
Smart man. He got his money. He got to just lay in bed and do nothing. Good job.
In the trailer, Nick Nolte looked surprised that they were filming him. Like, they just went to his house, and we're like, and he's like, "Who are you, Dad?" Is that at all possible?
I think that's very possible. Oh man, yeah, everybody's pretty much. I mean, Butler's giving it us all, but he's terrible. So I mean, everybody else is just kind of going through the paces. Poor Jada Pinkett, she's just given the worst character. She's an FBI agent who's investigating him, and because the plot is basically trying to have to put this guy over as the greatest thing ever and a complete genius, she and everybody else in the movie has to be a complete fucking moron in order to make him look like a good character, because he's not. So she's got to have this single-minded notion that he's the only one who could have possibly done this. And, like an FBI agent, what you do is that you decide what the outcome is, and you don't look for any other evidence. You just look for the outcome that you want. That's how the FBI works. That's how any investigator works. Yeah, exactly.
In a movie.
Because that's the only way your stupid idiot plot will work, is if everybody's a complete idiot who doesn't do the things that you're supposed to do in this situation. Danny Houston's in this movie. Guess who the bad guy is? Why do you hire Danny Houston ever? Unless, Tim Blake Nelson's in the movie. Guess what he's doing? Yeah, exactly. This is an idiot fucking movie. But it does have its moments where at least it is ironically, unintentionally hilarious. And spoiler alert, I'm going to give you the ending of this movie, just so you know.
I might want to watch it. I gotta watch the other two first.
What, you Josh now?
I've never seen them.
So this made me laugh. I haven't laughed this hard since, was it Safe Harbor, the Nicholas Sparks movie with the ghost?
Oh, wow.
This was a big laugh. So at the end of the movie, Mike Banning, the Secret Service agent, who has come through all of this, and now he is back. He's meeting with the president. He's let the president down because throughout this thing, he's been hiding that he's addicted to opioids, because this movie is relevant. He's been hiding his opioid addiction, which he overcomes through pure masculinity and macho-ness.
Well,
because
that's how you get through it.
Yeah, exactly. So he's sitting there in the president's office, and he's apologizing for having let the president down and not told him about his opioid addiction and for allowing him to almost be assassinated. He takes out his badge and he hands it to the president of the United States. Like he's an old West sheriff, and or Morgan Freeman's like the angry captain in an 80s police movie. I just burst out laughing at how dumb this is. This is so dumb. It's beautiful. There is a glorious stupidity to this scene that I'm barely scratching the surface of. I don't want to recommend you see this movie in any way, but I want to tell you about this just absolutely glorious absolutely dumb thing that happens at the end of that movie. It's kind of beautiful. This movie's awful. I hate it so much.
Does he go through withdrawals at all?
No, he overpowers it with his pure masculinity.
They didn't just lock him in a room for 3 days.
He does go through hydrotherapy at the end of the movie. But, of course, that's just some kind of new age hippie bullshit that he and his dad call out.
That's because Nick Nolte didn't know he was in a movie. And he was just speaking his mind, and they had to rewrite the script.
Final line in the movie is Nick Nolte, I'm going to piss in this thing.
Wasn't acting.
That's in the mid-credits scene, by the way, because this movie had to have a mid-credits scene.
Yeah.
What an obnoxious, shitty movie.
Did you have to watch it with an audience, or did you get a pre-screening?
I was with an audience, but it wasn't that big, and I was there with another critic who's feeling the same way I was throughout. So we had to stifle the giggles pretty hard, as much as we were mocking this piece of crap movie. Honestly, if you can't figure out where this movie is going in the first 5 minutes with the bad guys, I mean, it is so stupidly obvious. You really should get help. Go to a hospital and get neurologically checked out. This movie is not worth your time, though. I mean, as hilarious as that last scene is, the rest of it is a slog.
Yeah, I can't imagine people that watch this movie listen to our podcast.
I would hope not.
Ready or not?
Ready or not, let's talk about a good goddamn movie.
I was going to say, a great score on Rotten Tomatoes.
I loved this movie. Ready or Not stars Samara Weaving as a woman named Grace who is marrying into a rich family. This rich family has a very specific tradition that at midnight on the day of the marriage, the couple plays a board game of some sort, or so just some sort of game. And the games can be anything from checkers, chess, Old Maid even. And there are a couple games that you really don't want to end up getting, but they're not telling her that. Her husband knows, though, that the last time anybody played hide and seek, it led to that particular person being hunted down throughout the house and murdered. Which obviously he doesn't want to tell her about that, but that's the family tradition. So when she draws the hide and seek card, she's thinking they're actually going to play hide and seek, like kids. What's actually going to happen is they're going to hunt her down and try and sacrifice her to whatever. You'll have to see for yourself. But this movie's awesome. I mean, it's great gore. It's wonderful suspense. It's exceptionally well directed. This is a first-time directing duo who made this movie, and they did a hell of a job. They really come up with a lot of really smart set pieces. When you think that you know what's going to happen, they come up with a clever way. They paint themselves into corners and give themselves a way out of it. And they play it out as far as they can with getting out of the house. And what do you do once you're out of the house? And what's going to bring her back to the house? Really smart. And Samara Weaving is wonderful in this movie. She just makes really smart choices, really clever character moments. She's got a great sense of humor, wonderful charisma. Then you've got this veteran supporting cast that is exceptional. And it pains me that I can't remember the name of the aunt. The husband's aunt is one of the oldest people in the family. She upholds the tradition. This woman hasn't acted in a movie in 30 years. She's been acting in the Canadian stage for the past 30 years, occasionally on and off in between teaching acting. And she is utterly brilliant in this movie. She gets the biggest laughs. She gets some of the biggest scares. She is utterly terrifying to look at from beginning to end. She's got these eyebrows that are just the look on her face will just chill you to your bone. And then she's just says the nastiest, meanest things in this voice that is completely terrifying. This is a wonderful horror movie creation, really, truly. An amazing performance, perfectly directed. It is Oscar level good, in my opinion. That's
Really?
how amazing this woman is in this role, and how integral she is to the plot, and the way that she makes this character so indelible. she's undeniable. She's a force of nature in this movie. I loved it. I think this movie's awesome.
Wow. I mean, I thought it looked good. I was thinking kind of a combination of something like Happy Death Day to Tucker and Dale versus Evil, just something unique and creative, mixed with some sort of game in there. I wanted to see it. It's just sometimes you can't go to the movie theater.
This is so good. And you mentioned Happy Death Day. That's what I would compare it to. This is that kind of, you've got a star-making lead performance by a brilliant woman, and a terrific supporting cast, and a really clever premise.
That is awesome. What about the peanut butter? Is it Falcon?
Peanut Butter Falcon, yeah. This is Shia LaBeouf in this movie, and a young man with Down syndrome. And the story goes that this kid is living in a nursing home. He's been forced there because he doesn't have any other family. He's being cared for by the staff and led by Dakota Johnson. But he wants to escape because he's got this videotape of a wrestling school in North Carolina that he's always wanted to go to. And this wrestler that he admires, who's played by Thomas Hayden Church, he wants to go and learn how to wrestle. So he's going to escape with the help of Bruce Dern from this nursing home. And once he's out, he crosses paths with Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf is playing a kind of a low-level criminal whose his crime is basically he steals crab pots and tries to sell them, and they're not his, and he gets in trouble. And a couple of criminals who own the crab pots want to kill him. So they set out searching to kill Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so he's on the run from those guys, and he meets up with this kid, and he just kind of falls for the kid. The kid is so sweet and so innocent, and so, he's definitely in a place where he needs somebody to help him. And he doesn't make it easy, Shia LaBeouf. He doesn't immediately take to him, and he's not immediately sympathetic, but you watch this relationship develop in a very organic way that is very specific to the character that Shia LaBeouf is playing. And it is a really specific character. And what this movie demonstrates is that regardless of how weird Shia LaBeouf is, not Shania Twain, Shia LaBeouf is, I think that weirdness is adding a layer of something to him as a persona that makes him very compelling. He's demonstrated that in this movie, in American Honey, and in the trailer for the movie that's coming up that he's got there, where he's playing his own father in real life, his own actual dad.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's making some very unique and interesting choices, and he makes a lot of very interesting and unique choices in this movie. It's a really interesting, sweet, sentimental movie with a cameo by Jake the Snake Roberts.
That's why he's not promoting it all over the place.
Mick Foley as well, also in this movie. Just really wonderful. The kid with Down syndrome is amazing. He's hitting all the right spots that he needs to be. He's not cloying. He's not pushy. They're not begging you to feel sorry for him or sympathize with him. He just has this inherent quality to him that you sympathize with. And that really works. So this is not a movie that's trying to claw the tears out of your eyes. It's funny, it's sweet, it's smart, it's well made, and I like it a lot.
Thinking he'll hang around during award season?
I don't know. Shia might. If people can get over him as a personality,
right.
He might. Dakota Johnson's kind of functionary. The kid, his performance is very specific to him, and I don't want to say anything negative about him.
Right.
He did a great job, but it's not the kind of role that anybody's going to get an award for.
Is this something like Green Book, though, where it's just like it's impossible to hate this movie kind of a thing? Pretty safe?
I think Green Book's pretty hateable. But it doesn't. I don't think it plays it safe necessarily. It's just really good. Is it great? Does it elevate the form? Is it the kind of memorable that lasts? I think maybe in as a softball for
right.
awards audiences, maybe. But is Shia LaBeouf too interesting to make it that easy to take? That might be the question. Because he adds a lot of layers to this performance and a lot of layers to this movie that a lesser actor might not. A lesser persona even might not. You might not pay as much attention to somebody else in this role.
Gotcha. Anything else before we move on?
Let's see. Did I see something else? Was there something else? I don't even remember if there was something else now. No, we're going to talk about that one next week.
Yeah, we're going to do a lot of catch-up next week.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. No, I guess I got nothing.
All right, then.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized Undisputed Classic.
Don't look now, but Donald Sutherland doesn't point in this movie.
I guess I had the wrong movie.
Body Snatchers.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
I didn't know that. The whole time watching it, I'm like, wait, I recognize that ending. That was the image that I'm supposed to remember. Anyway.
This is a strange movie. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Because I got really confused, and it's partially it's my fault because I kind of looked away a couple times and I may have missed something. The movie basically proceeds from the point of the daughter of Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland dies in the first couple of scenes. She drowns, and we jump ahead about 6-8 months or a year or something like that, and they're in Italy where he's working on a project. As an archaeologist, restoring an old church. While they're in Italy, they meet these two women, one of whom is blind and also can see, or can speak to dead people, I guess, or can see dead people. And she sees into the future, she predicts things, and she starts predicting bad things in the future that are going to happen to the family. Meanwhile, both Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland start seeing strange things. They start seeing the red coat that their daughter was wearing on the day she died, and they start seeing that, and they both of them will end up kind of looking around for it, trying to find it. But there are other odd sights that keep popping up throughout this movie, and at a certain point, I just kind of got I got so confused that I got annoyed, and I think I might have looked at my phone at a certain point, and I think I missed something.
Well, yeah, at some point, Julie Christie leaves and goes and checks on their son, and then he thinks she's come back, and it is kind of out there, and he accuses the witch of stealing her, and it turns out she didn't get stolen. She's actually with her son, and just a lot of weird things happen. It's all about getting you to the end, though.
He can see the future as well. I think.
But he didn't realize he was seeing the future.
Yeah.
So basically, he was seeing how he was going to die.
Yeah, I guess that's how that goes.
And in a way, that's neat, but there's a lot that you have to get through to get to that moment. And maybe it was better in the time it came out. I don't know.
I'll say this: it's exceptionally directed. Nicholas Roeg is a master director, and there are a lot of really great images in this movie. Very, it's got the visual aspect down, and the beats are strong. It's got a good pace to it. The story is a tad convoluted, and it does kind of lose the plot every now and then. And I appreciate a movie that doesn't slow down for you to keep up. I get that, and I get what the movie is kind of going for and trying to keep you off your balance the entire time, because it's messing with you to get to an ending that is quite shocking and does have that reveal of the killer is out of nowhere,
right.
Completely left field, but also really interesting to look at, and you certainly don't predict it in a way, even though you kind of know what's coming. You don't know how it's coming,
and it's kind of an iconic image. Even though I hadn't seen this movie, I had seen that. I mean, even Cousin Jeff was doing a painting of it.
Yeah,
this week I'd seen that image before. I just had never seen the movie, so it was kind of, I don't know. It just, like you said, some great shots, just some great images, and
Donald Sutherland does do his horror face.
Oh yeah, he does.
No pointing, but
and there is one of the most graphic sex scenes I've ever seen.
That was a lot of Donald Sutherland in that scene. That was way more Donald Sutherland than I wanted.
I mean, I was reading up on that in Wikipedia about, like, because Julie Christie's with Warren Beatty, he wanted stuff cut out of it because he thought they were actually having sex. Finally, it wasn't like until like 2000 something where Donald Sutherland admitted they didn't.
Yeah.
It was all simulated. But there's a part where, I mean, There's oral pretty obvious in it, and it was graphic.
Exceptionally well shot, though. I mean, the direction of that scene and the juxtapositions.
Where they were getting dressed.
Yeah, the cutting between them having sex and them getting dressed the following. Yeah, they're really extraordinary piece of editing and filmmaking.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd like to call it. I'd like to call it classic, maybe a cult classic or kind of an unknown classic, because this movie doesn't pop up in a lot of horror discussions, but it's interesting enough that I think you could put it there.
There's a lot of good things about it. I just don't know if I follow the plot close enough. Maybe it's just my attention span. It's getting bad or something, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff happens there in the final 20 minutes where I was just, wait, he sees the future, but does he not see what does he see? Does he not realize he sees it? And it seems a lot of intentionally kind of just screwing with you to keep you off balance, as opposed to actually being organic of the story that's being told.
I'd like to think if I'd seen it in the theater, it would have been more clear. I do feel like being in the comfort of your own home, there's a lot of distractions, but could be completely wrong. I mean, I think like Atomic Blonde, that movie just went off the rails. I don't think this quite went off the rails, but there was a lot that you had to get through to get to the big reveal, which I don't know. I found it interesting, and it wasn't that hard of a watch, other than you did get kind of lost at some point.
It is visually dynamic, exceptionally edited. The scene setting is spectacular. The costumes they use are incredible. So there's a lot of really great things about this movie. I'm not quite sure what, in the end, the director is hoping to accomplish with the story. I just don't know what the point of it all was.
Right. I think it was more just the reveal. Yeah. I really do, and then some artistic shots.
Throughout the film, there's a series of murders taking place well in the background. Like you just they're 3 or 4 times throughout the movie that they come across a murder scene that is not the point of the scene that they're in at all. They're off doing something else, and you just see in the background like they're watching a body being pulled out of the river, and they're various different times. There are a couple of murders in here that have nothing to do with them, except maybe he might have seen it ahead of time.
Right. Yeah.
And there's the one that really threw me, though. The strange one was that there was one of the bodies they pull out of the river looks like Julie Christie, and I'm like, is that her? Is that meant to be her, or is he seeing her dead? But he doesn't recognize her, and the scene ends without any kind of acknowledgement of it.
Well, he incorrectly saw her a lot. So I think there was something there. And I'm not sure if he could see beyond his own future. I'm not positive. I couldn't really answer that question.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in a way, it kind of makes you want to watch it again. I don't really have the time for it, so I'm not going to. But if I had nothing but time. I mean, again, I think there's enough iconic imagery in it that does have it hold up, and
yeah, I definitely want to spend some more time with some Nicholas Roeg. He's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it at least gives you something to talk about too. If nothing else, this movie gives you that.
I do wonder if this may be some kind of like a more minor Nicholas Roeg movie as opposed to some of the other stuff that he's done. That's in the Criterion Collection.
1989. Did you watch any of these?
I watched one of them, partially.
Cookie?
No.
Heart of Dixie?
No.
What I thought was called Koneko Monogatari is actually The Adventures of Milo and Otis.
Oh. What the fuck?
I don't know why they decided to put the forename on the numbers.com, but
all I know about Milo and Otis is that they killed a lot of cats and dogs. A lot of animals died to make that movie.
It's like my type of movie.
And I saw it. I saw that in theaters in
really?
89. Yeah.
Millennium?
No.
The Package. Gene Hackman, Tommy Lee Jones.
Nope.
So you watched Little Monsters.
I watched some of Little Monsters.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
I fucking hate that movie. What a gross, unnecessary piece of trash this movie is. What is it that anybody enjoys about this? In a world where we now have Monsters, Inc., fuck this movie.
That's the. I mean, when I saw it, they didn't have those movies. So and Fred Savage was everything. Wonder Years was the show for my age group, and I mean, I didn't know he was Bobby from Bobby's World, but it just at the time I loved it. You are correct. My kids had really no interest in it. It actually scared my son to an extent.
Yeah. After
a while, he got better, but they're really mean to the bully to the point where it's like, who's the bully when you're watching the movie?
I turned it off after he pissed in the cup and put it in his refrigerator. I'm like, I'm done. I don't need to see any more of this.
I mean, they do redeem everybody, and they all become friends at the end, but you're right. It doesn't hold up, especially with what has come out since then.
I get, for very young kids, the obsession with bodily humor. As I know my 7-year-old goddaughter, who I talk to almost every day, is obsessed with that type of humor. It's her favorite thing in the world because she's 7.
It was my mom's birthday yesterday, and she's like mid-60s, and someone had this fart app on their iPad, and she laughed like it was the funniest thing ever, to the point where I was just like, it became funny because she was laughing so hard, like it was hilarious. I don't know. I don't know. It's
timing and circumstance can make just about anything funny, but not Little Monsters. Not for me. I really hate this movie.
I can't. There's too much nostalgia to hate it, but I can't disagree with you on that. With a world where Monsters Inc.
I find that more and more the nostalgia glasses aren't working on me anymore.
Well, they only work for certain movies for me. I mean, I'm sure the movies I watched a lot, as a kid. I had never watched it as an adult, so this is kind of the first time. Sitting there going, who's the bully? But they get to it. It's lazy and it's Adam Sandler-ish, but they still get to the big, wherever they resolve everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, an Adam Sandler movie is kind of the perfect comparison to this movie. It's a lot like something he would do. I could see him making this movie in, maybe 10 years ago.
He could, under a lot of makeup, he could play the Howie Mandel character.
I can't hate it. I guess my nostalgia is preventing me from hating it.
Yeah.
Like you are, I guess. Next week, Don't Let Go, and just a bunch of movies we're going to catch up on. I'm going to try to see Climax on Amazon or whatever.
Yeah, A24. I've got plans. I've already seen one movie that I'm going to talk about next week called Wild Rose, which is a really great movie about a Scottish country music singer. I've been dying to see Under the Silver Lake, which is, I know, a little bit older than what we usually do in terms of movie being relatively new, but I've heard such weird and wonderful things about it, and it's on Prime now. So, and then as I understand it, tomorrow The Last Black Man in San Francisco will be out on Blu-ray and DVD, so I'm going to check that one out. It's
another A24.
A24.
So yeah, I'll see what I can watch. It's easier to watch these movies at home, so I might be able to actually participate next week. Our classic's going to be Repeat Performance, the 1947 one. There is a 96 or something like that that's streaming, but that's not what we're watching.
Like a TV movie or something, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I don't know, but
all I know is I went to the 1947 on IMDb. The link to Amazon takes me to the 96 version.
I just stumbled across this because I was looking. I wanted to know what the first movie to employ time travel or something similar to time travel was, and this isn't the first one. But as I was looking at them, this one struck me because it has kind of a similar premise to Don't Let Go, which is interesting,
right?
Because it's about time travel over a couple days, or at least being able to see into the past somehow and try and prevent a murder from happening or whatever. But I thought that was really interesting, that this movie kind of has a parallel to this movie this week, and it was made in 1947. I want to see what they thought of how they treated time travel in a time, especially when they're dealing with a noir genre, kind of like this was a cop movie that kind of has a noir genre. This Don't Let Go.
Critics are not being kind to Don't Let Go.
That's unfortunate.
But hopefully that lowers the bar and You love it.
Yeah, or we could just watch 2 really shitty movies.
Oh, that'd be great. They're just bad.
I had to go a long way to get repeat performance.
eBay, if I'm not mistaken.
I went to eBay and bought the DVD. Yeah, because I was so intrigued by it.
Hopefully it's on YouTube somewhere.
I looked. I did not find it.
89, nothing of relevance comes out. Relentless and Cage. Neither one really made a lot of money. I couldn't tell you what either one are about.
I wonder if Cage is actually like the first UFC movie. Maybe. Or it's a prison movie.
Or a combination of the two. It is 10:10. Do you want to do a flick chart or do you need to go?
It. If you're up for it.
Let's log in here. Unhook Josh.
Thank you for coming back, Josh.
All right. Where is Flickchart at? I had it up. All right. This is the end of The Bank Job.
This is the end.
I agree. Crocodile Dundee 2 or The Great Escape?
Great Escape.
Agreed. Thor 2011, Pledge 2018.
2018, a movie called Pledge?
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that one.
Bad Boys or Thor?
Bad Boys.
I thought we were going to have to flip for that one. Broken Arrow or The Green Mile?
Ugh. Green Mile.
Wouldn't it be awesome if The Fanatic's available next week? That's the Fred Durst, John Travolta movie. It's getting decent reviews.
Really?
I think. The Day After Tomorrow or E.T.?
E.T.
Agreed. 7 Pounds or The Knockout 1914?
No, nothing.
7 Pounds or Casablanca?
Casablanca.
Funny People, Anchorman?
Funny People.
I agree. The Pledge, Any Given Sunday. This is the Jack Nicholson one.
The Pledge, absolutely. That's an amazingly great movie.
Mm-hmm. Match Point or The Jerk?
Match Point.
Agreed. A million times.
You don't like The Jerk?
I like The Jerk okay, but I love Match Point.
Yeah, it's a really great movie.
I'll never... Scarlett Johansson can make shit for the rest of her life, and I'll consider her a great actress for that movie alone. Bridesmaids, Love Stinks.
What is Love Stinks? Is that Jenny McCarthy?
I believe it is... No, I don't think so.
I don't know what it is then.
It's Bridesmaids anyway.
Yeah.
16 Candles or Hannah, 2011.
Ooh, that is tough. 2 very different movies that I like both of them so much. Man, I gotta say Hannah because I think just on a technical level, it's just a better movie.
I'll just let you choose that one because I don't really know. But yeah, Uncle Jeff, he had a thing about all the John Hughes movies. What would you pull out? And he had like Ferris Bueller, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, and one other one.
Planes, Trains?
No. I can't remember what the other one was, but we had to remove one. Or what was your favorite of all of them? And for me, it was Ferris Bueller, obviously. But everybody was shitting on 16 Candles. And this was like right after you said how much you liked it, including Josh. Josh got on there and shit on 16 Candles.
It is definitely. I mean, if you look at 16 Candles from the perspective of cancel culture, that's probably not a movie that lasts.
I hate looking at movies like that. I mean, we were just talking about 40-Year-Old Virgin, and there's a lot of stuff in that already that would go, or especially out of the Kevin Smith stuff. And I don't know. I think it's okay to put yourself in that time period, and I don't know. I shouldn't even go there. I don't want to get people mad at me.
It's a gray area.
Small Soldiers, Planet Terror.
Oh, just cut my throat now.
I want George to pick.
I'm going to pick Small Soldiers, so if you want to let George pick.
All right, let's see.
I hate Planet Terror that much.
I don't understand that.
It's just gross and not good. What did you say, George?
It said Small Soldiers.
Good.
Lost in Space, Tombstone.
Tombstone.
Days of Thunder, Rocky 2.
It's hard. I like Days of Thunder, but I think Rocky 2 is probably better.
Yeah, I would take Rocky 2.
They're kind of the same movie.
Definitely, I would definitely throw them on that same level of kind of okay, just kind of that average movie that's just kind of on the upper echelon of average. Castaway, Let the Right One In.
Let the Right One In.
Yep. Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo.
Whatever the other movie is.
All right, fine. There Will Be Blood. Planet of the Apes, Lucky Number 11.
Which Planet of the Apes?
68.
Lucky Number 11. Highly underrated movie.
I love that movie. I was going to pick it anyway, but I always feel bad when we go against classics for movies like that. That is a great movie, though.
People don't give that movie enough
They just didn't see
attention.
it.
Yeah.
I think those who saw it really like it,
Yeah.
but not enough people saw it.
I don't know what it is about people's opinions of Josh Hartnett. He is incredible. When you give him the right role, he is awesome. I mean, he was great in his just little tiny thing that he did in Sin City, but then Black Dahlia is incredible, and that movie is awesome. I mean, even 40 Days and 40 Nights isn't a good movie, but he's good in it. Wicker Park is another one that nobody watched, but he was awesome in it.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't hardly do anything.
I think a lot of it's by choice.
Yeah.
He turned down a shot at one of the early Marvel characters, I think. I don't remember which one. Maybe Captain America, possibly.
I think he might have turned down Superman as well.
Maybe that's what it was. And yeah,
I mean, good for him. He has been doing some TV, I think. He did a Showtime series.
But sometimes when you get too famous, that's not... I wouldn't want to live that life. I don't know. Spider-Man, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, 2002 Spider-Man.
Oh, it's Spider-Man.
I never saw the Hellboy, so I'll just let you go Spider-Man, but Guillermo del Toro doesn't make bad movies all the time. Patch Adams, Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents.
Agreed. You know what De Niro's highest grossing movie is of all time? Meet the Fockers. Isn't that disappointing? With inflation, too.
Oh, wow.
The Autopsy of Jane Doe, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
I think I have to say Lord of the Rings, even though I don't want to.
Josh, he sent me something he found out. He had to rename movies based on an inaccurate... Let me see. I got this picture here.
Well, you're saying that I would actually, if you asked me to watch a movie and it had to be one of those two, I would watch The Autopsy of Jane Doe again.
That's funny. It was explain a film plot badly, and he wrote for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Group spends 9 hours returning jewelry. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
This will be fun for you. Ghostbusters 2 or Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
Jeez, I'll give Ghostbusters 2 that one, I guess.
See, that's where nostalgia classes work. You don't have to love the movie, but it's like, yeah, it's better than Chronicles of Narnia. Mars Attacks, Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan.
Freaky Friday for me.
I like that movie, surprisingly.
I hate Mars Attacks.
I hate Mars Attacks, but Star Trek Into the Darkness, Memento.
Memento.
Definitely.
I need to watch that movie again soon. I love that movie.
Notting Hill, Pocahontas.
Notting Hill.
Okay. True Grit, 2010, or Ghost, 1990.
True Grit.
Broken Arrow, Saw 2.
Saw 2.
The Jungle Book, Rush Hour, 2016 Jungle Book.
Rush Hour.
Coming to America, Blade 2.
Blade 2, all the way. Love Blade 2.
Is that Guillermo del Toro?
It might be, yeah.
Yeah, I am looking forward to Coming to America 2, though.
Yeah. I heard Eddie Murphy's going to host Saturday Night Live.
Really?
Yeah. Wow,
He's
right?
doing a full-blown comeback.
Yeah, no kidding.
Pretty Woman, The Karate Kid.
Oh, it's Karate Kid. Yeah, fuck Pretty Woman. I hate that movie. My mom's favorite movie.
The Apparition from 2012. Do you know what that is?
No.
Cars or Closer?
Closer. That movie's incredible.
I agree. All right, last one. Little Nicky or True Romance?